Hello and welcome to Dreaming the Queen Awake. Let's get Dr. Willow on. Hi. Hello, Suzanne. Where's Willow? Hello,
Hi,
hello.
I'm coming in live.
It is. We are live. Hi,
Woohoo! Hello,
Charlene.
darling.
Look at all my favorite people joining us. How fun is that?
Oh, hi, everyone. Good morning. Good to
Good
see
morning.
everyone. So, Lisa and I were just noodling on what we're going to talk about today.
What's
And
up in the field
yeah,
this
what's
day,
up in the
lovely?
field? And I loved what you brought forward, Lisa. This idea of like the art of being and being um, in the feminine way, regardless of your gender or your orientation, but just like being tuned into the being rather than the doing. We place so much emphasis in our culture on doing. It's usually like, what did you do today? Oh, I got a lot of stuff done. I got my checklist checked off, and I was very productive. And people will be like, oh yeah, good for you.
Right?
But
We
you don't really
praise
be
we
like, if
praise
somebody's
that.
like, oh, I just really did not much, and I went to the beach and took a nap and read a book, nobody's like, oh, good for you.
I'm saying good for you. I'm
Unless
like
they're
good
you
for
and I,
you.
Lisa. I was just gonna say, unless they're you or I, because we would
I'm
commend
like,
that.
yay, that's amazing.
So valuing the feminine, I think, is one of these really big things that's coming up in the world right now. It's like, how do we really value the feminine way? How do we bring worthiness to the just being?
Exactly. And really, as we're going through this slide of awakening and expansion, and we have to come into honoring and honing this balanced expression of ourselves as the masculine and the feminine that every one of us holds inside. But my experience as of late, and actually in this last 2 years of going through my death rebirth, I feel like I keep dying and being reborn, and it's exhausting. And in the moments where I'm in that yin, where I'm really called to be pulled in, I witness myself battling. I battle that because of my manifestor generator and the purpose on the planet, and this shooting of like there's so much that comes to life through me that I want to bring to the world. And when I'm in that quiet pause, it's like I'm witnessing the resistance within me. And the only time I feel good when that's happening is when I succumb to it. When I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to go into some of my practices, my devotional practices, I'm going to garden, I'm going to go do yoga, or, all those things that we're like, yay. But I resist because I should produce. There's things that need to occur, there's money that needs to be made, you don't leave anything on the table. And this juxtaposition energetically, this battle within, I think, is the exhaustion. So how do you remedy that self-talk, that shoulding, when we're shoulding on ourselves, that's in opposition to the frequency that's being summoned through us organically?
Yeah, well, from a Taoist perspective, I really like to think about the doing, and I should do, and I should produce, and I'm just going to go garden. I'm just going to do what feels good and be in pleasure around that. I really think of those as like the expansion and contraction, right? It's like the yin and the yang. So we have yin and yang in every single breath that we take. We expand, we contract. We have it in every single day that we move through. We rise with the sun, and then we go to sleep with the night. And so there's this really, really powerful balance that's always occurring. And when we're really dropped into the yin field, which you're talking about, like keeps kind of pulling you in, it makes sense because you have been through such a journey with death, with rebirth. And so that does require a lot of energy, and you need to replenish your energy in order
Constantly.
to continue to move through that. And so why it keeps pulling you in is so that you can replenish your energy. But this is the piece that's so hard for us culturally,
Totally.
is it's so hard to be in that non-doing space and to really rest in the ebb, right? There's an ebb and there's a flow to every life that is living on this planet. And when we're in flow state, we're like, oh yeah, everything's happening, everything's in
So fun.
flow. But sometimes we're like, I don't really have the energy for all of it, though. It's overwhelming my system.
Trendy.
And that's most likely because the ebb that came before that big massive flow, you were sitting in stressed out that there wasn't
Yeah.
enough flow,
So we can't sit
right?
the ebb, or the flow doesn't have quite the flow that it could flow,
Exactly.
quite the fluidity of the flow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We need to take that ebb. We need to take that yin tide, that time to really drop into replenishing our adrenal glands, replenishing our reserves, taking really good care of ourselves, praying, meditating, drinking lots of water, eating good food, healthy, like as much as we can resource ourselves during that moment. And sometimes this happens in a single day. You'll definitely experience periods of life where it's like, man, months of ebbing. Man, when is the flow going to come? But here's the thing. You can trust that if you're in a big ebb, there's going to be a big
Right.
flow coming right behind
It's
you.
like the tsunami is what this week, it's been so crunchy for me this week. I know the astrology's up. And yeah, Charlene says rest is feminine. It's not societally valued. And this is so true. And this is the inversion we get to correct. And we have to correct it through our own experience, our own being. But it's been accelerated rapidly for me. It could be my astrology, whatever's going on. That, I notice I go in these, we go in these cycles where we're more creative, but as you're speaking to, but it's been accelerating and accelerating over the last few weeks, where it's like day on, day off, and then it's like hour on, hour off. And so part of what is coming through is, if we're going to be in absolute presence, right, which is like pillar one of my book, then we're going to have to go with the flow of whatever is in this moment, the feminine way. And the big bing, bing, ping is how much trust it requires to stand in that space of grace and allow what is to be. I mean, truly the feminine way, that like leading our energy back, opening up the vessel of our being so wide, and trusting that universal intelligence and the communion of all that is has us so impeccably that we don't have to move from any kind of urgency. It's only scarcity, lack, and fear that creates that, like, I need to. And it's all part of the cracking of the illusion. So this, like, I'm on a purpose. Like today I'm in flow. I'm like, yeah, today rocks. So my intention is to create and flow as much as I can today, with not to create, but almost an expectation that if it is summoned tomorrow, that I am in rest, that I can rest into the truth that I created when I was in an abundant state, or in an active state. So that presence, like really listening, requires so much trust. And we're in the birth canal, right? Where you're so birthing, which is all about the contractions and expansions are quickening. Like we're in active birth, we got to hold on, and we have to a lot. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we want to
here
really
we
keep
are.
the balance and understand that we don't have to keep the balance is keeping us. So if that's really like, if you really want to trip out on the Tao and like how it all works, it's like you surrender. All of the chi comes from the yin tide. Like that's where the energy, that's where the inspiration, that's where it all comes from. The yang is the container. The yang has to be there. We need it. We need the yang to hold it all, but it's going to come from that still point. The inspiration, the flow, the ideas, the creativity, the concepts is going to come from that yin tide. And so rather than being like, oh, let me work my way into yin so that I can find that inspiration and creativity, you just allow it to happen and trust that it's happening through you. I think there's so much right now. There's so much fear that there's a lot of grasping, and that grasping is getting in the way of the universe carrying you where you are best meant to be in
And
divine right
authentic
timing.
expression. Yeah, and all that authentic expression piece that we talk about.
Yeah.
That if we're in that urgency and grappling, grasping, it is fear-based, and we're not delivering anything that has nearly the potency as if we allowed the rest to come and delivered from that place of true unification, true harmony, true deliverance. Also to speak to what you just said, that pulling back, this week I'm like, oh, I'm on a tsunami ride. And we know how the tsunamis come. The more the essence pulls back, the greater the wave that comes forward, right? So as uncomfortable as that is, it's like something really fucking amazing must be brewing out there to like have to bring all this energy forth. And do we have the patience and the trust to witness and wait its
Yeah.
deliverance?
Yeah, that's a big piece. Patience and trust and allowing for the energies to take you as they're meant to take you, and not trying to control it, not trying to grasp or make it something other than what it is. That's exhausting. That'll drain your resources faster than
Yeah.
anything.
And that's the fear, wanting to control, the great illusion that if we're controlling, if we think, I mean, like we control nothing, it's such an illusion. Okay, what magic you creating? Okay, so first of all, let's also acknowledge before we go that it is an Aquarius full moon, and we are the Aquarian sisterhood standing here in the resonance of bringing through that permission to color outside of the lines and to go the distance and maybe to go against the grain of the collective in order to create something new. So if everyone is fighting and resisting their yin, then we give you full permission to go all the way in to what it means to actually surrender, succumb, and rise in your feminine frequency towards to it.
Hallelujah.
And
Oh, we got another Aquarius
oh,
on the
hi
line. Who
Aquarius.
else is Aquarius? Raise
Yes,
your hand.
and
Or
rising.
Aquarius rising or Aquarius moon.
Yeah, all of those things.
Aquarius is very much that collective, like how's the collective doing? So there's going to be a lot of probably attunement and alignment for everyone to like outside of yourself. So, also be sensitive to that. Like if you're getting pulled by external influences, then that's also kind of the moment that we're in as a universal earth plane. So
Yeah, and it's a super moon today too, so it gets amplified greatly. And then we have a blue moon this month, and we have what 4 or 5 planets in retrograde, more coming. It's like, Also, I just did this month's energy update. It's actually just loading up into Instagram right now, but um, it's a six universal month, so we get to bring in that love of mother and that nurturing and that peace, which ties right into our yin. So as everything's like raw and full mooning, we also get this real grace of the six to kind of bring us home into that trust and into that surrender. So the universe is so kind to balance it all out. Now we get to do it inside too, right?
I love that. All right, everyone. We'll see you next Tuesday. Much
Yes.
love and enjoy.
Enjoy the full moon. Love to your light. Bye for now.